SUV or truck, guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we've got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.
Yes, indeed. We have the owner of that fine establishment here in this studio, ready, willing, and more than able to take questions or inquiries from you. Perhaps you'd like to get the price of a car, truck, or SUV you're thinking of buying, selling, or trading in. Well, boy, are you in luck, because Iven Streckel is here. Give us a call at 478-3116. Good morning, sir. Thank you for coming out, as always.
Hey, Don. Thanks so much for the introduction. We've got a two-way program going on here. One is Talk Radio, 1370 AM. If you want to join us on the show, dial 478-3116. That's 478-3116. We're also videotaping this for our cable listeners in the South here. We're actually going out almost 200 or 300 miles. So if this is the first time you're watching the Frontier Motor Show, don't bother calling in to the show, because this is a taped show that we do about every 2 weeks. We're taping it, and we're putting it on cable. And the reason we're doing that is to get the word out that there's a dealership in the Pensacola area that's actually willing to help you get a value on your car and help you sell your car, whether you want to do business with Frontier Motors or want to do business with a different dealership. And the reason that we give you this information is because we know that if we help you sell your car, or maybe perhaps get a good deal on a car somewhere, the next time you're in the market for a car, hopefully you'll patronize our dealership and maybe send your relatives, friends, or whoever you know in to buy a car from us. And one reason you might want to do that, number one, because of our inventory. We've got over 300 vehicles in inventory. I think the last count we had 310 vehicles sitting on the ground. The other reason is the way we do business. And one of the things that our salespeople do every morning is they walk around. They've got 30 to 40 cars that they handle. And what they do is they unlock every single car on the lot. And the reason they do that is that if you come in and want to shop and browse on your lunch hour, and you only have a couple of minutes, but you really don't want to do the normal car deal, which is sitting down, talking to manager, having them try to talk you into making a buying decision when you're not ready. Maybe you just want to look at 2 or 3 different vehicles and try to narrow down to what you're going to buy. Well, that's why you would come in and see Frontier Motors, because we give you the opportunity to browse at your leisure. Our cars have a window sticker on them. The window sticker just doesn't tell you the warranty. Any car dealership, that's a state law, by the way, you have to have a window sticker that describes what warranty is left on the vehicle. But what we do is we also have our window sticker, which tells you the equipment, the model, and the mileage on the car. And the reason the mileage is important, because by looking at the car, almost all vehicles these days have digital odometers. So you'd have to grab a salesman to find out how many miles are on the car. So that'll tell you how many miles, if it's got 10,000 miles or it's got 100,000 miles on. So you can tell that by just looking at our window sticker. The other thing that our salespeople will do, and this happens.
The reason you call a salesman is because you got to crank the car up.
Got to crank a car up. Yeah. Maybe they want to take it for a ride. Maybe they want to know.
You can't read a digital odometer normally with the engine off.
That's right. So they'll crank it up for you. And if you can narrow it down by yourself. Now, we're not saying that we don't want to get a salesman involved. We have 10 salespeople that are on duty, and I kind of snicker a little bit when a customer says, well, you guys sold me a car last year. And I said, no, you didn't. You came and picked one out. Because our salespeople don't push you and sell you a product that you're not interested in. And that's what the normal classification of a salesman is, to sell a customer a car when they're not, number one, when they're not ready to buy one, and number two, to sort of pressure you into making some type of a decision for whatever reason that they can think of, that you've got to buy the car right now because maybe you like the car, you want to talk to somebody else, and the salesman will say something like, well, you know, we got 2 or 3 people looking at this car, you better buy it right now or it'll be sold. That says, here's our ask price, here's the NADA value of what the bank is going to tell you the car is worth, here's what we'll sell the car for, and then we'll also add the taxes, the title, the dock fee, the transfer fee, and everything else so that you know what the bottom out-the-door figure is. And especially important if you got a trade-in, folks, because you're going to get a little bit confused when it comes to the value of your trade by going from dealership to dealership to dealership. One dealership is going to tell you your car is worth $10,000. Another dealership is going to tell you they'll give you $13,000. But if they mark up their car quite a bit higher than the first dealer, even though they're giving you money for the trade-in, it might not be the best deal. So what we do is we put the emphasis on one thing, the out-the-door value. I don't care about what the fees that the dealership charges. I don't care if they have their garbage fees on there like rust-proofing and questions. You can ask, what's your car worth? You can ask, what are, if we've got a car online, for example, that doesn't have a price, within a matter of minutes, we will email you the price. I would say we're up to about 55% of our cars have prices on them. And the reason that some of the other ones don't is because we buy them so fast that we don't have the chance to price them because we don't even know. Sometimes I don't have the bill of sale in front of me where I know what the shipping is and the reconditioning, everything I've done to the car. So it's hard for me, of course, to price the car if I don't know what exactly I have invested in the car. Because customers will always ask me, why don't you have a price on every car? Some dealerships do, and some dealerships just mark them up, whatever they want. What we want to do is if we put the car online, we want to be competitive. We want to have the best deal out there. So I make sure that when I do put it online, that I do have the best deal available. And if I don't have a price on there, you just email me or call the dealership, and within a couple of minutes, I'll give you an out-the-door figure. We can even estimate the value of your trade-in without you bring it to us. Most dealerships won't do that. It's a little harder to do if you got a 15-year-old car. A customer the other day was asking me what his 1990 Mercedes was worth with 100,000 miles on. Well, I don't have a clue. The books don't go back that far. It just really depends on what reconditioning it needs. So in that particular case, I told him bring the car in. But let's say he was driving a 2010 Mercedes with 15,000 miles on it. I don't have to see that car. I can get right into my Manheim market reports. The Manheim auctions are the largest auction chains in the world. It'll tell me exactly what I can buy that car for at auction. And if I know that figure, I can better give you a figure on your car without seeing it. And all we do is we deduct for reconditioning. I had a gentleman this morning that he brought, we appraised his pickup truck over the phone. He had a beautiful pickup truck with very low miles. I wanted the vehicle. I told him I'd pay him $21,000 for his vehicle, less reconditioning. Well, he brought it in this morning, and we found out that he had painted the vehicle two-tone. So the bottom color was a different color than the top, which actually looked really good, except it was peeling in some areas. So what we did is we said, tell you what we'll do. We'll still buy the vehicle, but we're going to deduct $400 because we're going to get an estimate to get, and we're guessing that it's going to cost me $400 to repaint the bottom of his vehicle, to do it properly and clear coat it properly to make the vehicle a standout vehicle. And he hemmed and hawed a little bit because it was less than what I told him, but he understood why I was deducting $400 for reconditioning. And that's why I can do an appraisal right over the phone.
And he probably could not have gotten that price since you have
No, it was $700.
Yeah, right.
It was for him to have that redone because they would have to strip it down, repaint it, and clear it. And he had about a 18-inch, and it looked pretty good. You know, remember the old two-tones? They used to have a two-tone paint. Well, that's kind of gone now. Almost everything is a single color.
It is.
But, you know, he's an older guy, and he liked the old two-tone. And this particular vehicle happened to be a Ford Lariat. It actually looked better with the two-tone than without it. So we weren't deducting for the vehicle the fact that he had painted on it. It's just that it wasn't a good job. I don't know if he did it himself with a paintbrush. I don't know what he did, but it didn't look good. So anyways, we deducted for it. And what I'm getting at, folks, is that I can appraise your vehicle without seeing it. And I can give you I do this all day long because what we want to do, and this show really should be about buying cars, not about selling cars. We have no problem selling cars at Frontier Motors. Last month, we sold 188 cars, which means that I have to replace 188 cars. And I think at one point we were down to about 280 cars in inventory. I would actually like to be at about 350. But one of the problems that I'm having, folks, is that some of the auctions are drying up. We used to get a lot of off-lease cars, which means that these are cars that are 1 or 2 or 3 years old with very low miles on. The leasing system is pretty much dried up. A lot of the leasing companies have gone out of business. So these lease cars were coming back by hundreds and hundreds of thousands. Of these lease cars were coming off of the market. We're not seeing those cars anymore. And what that means is that I have to get more aggressive in purchasing vehicles from private individuals. And I want to get the word out for you folks. If you know anybody that's got a car that they're selling, even if they want to buy a new car somewhere, that means they got to sell theirs. Now, sometimes they'll sell it to the dealership they buy the new car from, which is called a trade-in, but you don't necessarily have to do that. You can still bring the vehicle to Frontier Motors, have us give you a buy bid. That way you're free to go buy whatever car you want. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to buy a car from me, but it'll give you a better understanding of buy a brand new Acura Mobile, and let's say that car lists for $35,000, and we get the new car cost guides out, which I have right here, and it tells me that the Acura, that the dealership paid $30,000 for it. I might give you a helpful hint and say, well, based on the Acuras right now, I would offer them $31,000. They'll still make $1,000, and you'll get a $4,000 discount. So let's say that that's the best deal. You go online, check with a bunch of Acura dealerships. Everybody says that's a really good deal if you can get it. So you know the vehicle's price already. It's been discounted $4,000 down to $31,000 plus the taxes. Now, the next thing is when you go over there, the used car manager is going to appraise your trade-in. And the used car manager's job is to buy that vehicle as cheap as he possibly can but still make a deal with you. So that's where the negotiating starts. So let's say you've got a trade-in, and I appraise the vehicle before you go over there. I appraise the vehicle for $15,000. Now you go over to the dealership, and they appraise the vehicle because you already know you're going to buy that Acura for $31,000, which you've already established is a good deal. They appraise the vehicle for $12,000. Well, the first thing you say is, no, I'm not taking that. And the first thing the used car manager is going to say, well, why not? Well, because I got a bid somewhere else, and they'll give me 15 for it. So unless you match the 15, you're not going to get it, and you're not going to get my business. So now the used car manager has a decision to make. Either he's going to reappraise the car for $15,000 or let you sell it to me. Now, some dealerships, what they'll do is they'll actually let you take it and trade, and then I'll buy it right from the dealership. And the reason this is important, folks, because if you have a trade-in worth $15,000, you're going to pay tax. 7.5% of that is taxable. So you save less. You save money on tax, which is about $1,000. So the dealership sometimes can take your vehicle in for $1,000 cheaper, because it'll still be the same deal because you pay less taxes. Well, guess what? You can have the best of both worlds. Why not get the higher appraisal of $15,000? You save the taxes, and I'll buy the car right from the dealership. And this happened the other day when I had a customer that found a dealership in Pennsylvania that had a Corvette that he was going to purchase. It's a one-of-a-kind car. He couldn't duplicate the car. I couldn't find him a car like that. And it was a brand-new car, and he made the deal. It was a phenomenal deal, but now he had a car he had to sell. Well, it was a convertible, and they weren't interested in taking the vehicle in trade in the middle of winter. So what I did is I gave them a buy bid on it, but we ran it through their books. In other words, I appraised the car. Let's say I appraised the car for $30,000. So he was able to get them to appraise it for $30,000, and I gave him a check that he took up there, and he basically was my... he was able to sign for me for the dealership. He was actually an employee of mine, is the way I put it, is that he was buying the car back, and he had dropped the car off at Frontier Motors. He flew up there. I had given him a check for the $30,000, and he was able to use that to use it as a trade-in, and I bought the vehicle right from the dealership. We had the check made out to the dealership. So the reason we did this, folks, is because he wanted to get that tax credit. It was almost a $2,000 savings on taxes on $30,000. So he was able to save $2,000, and I still got a great car. So I want to get the word out there to anybody out there that no matter what this car is, I have had cars that I would never put on the lot. I've been able to appraise them and help you dispose of them. If you bring me a car with 190,000 miles on, I'm pretty much not going to retail that car. But I've got some other dealerships that would be they'd love to put a bid on that car. So what I do is I do it more of a courtesy to help you out, and knowing that if I ever help you out, hopefully the next time that you're in the market for a car, you can either recommend Frontier Motors or at least give us a shot at your business. So it really is a good deal for everybody. And like I said, we have no problem selling cars. The bigger problem that I have is replacing the cars. The other thing we do at Frontier Motors is we give you a free history report. I looked the other day, and I noticed that Carfax reports are quite expensive. If you do one Carfax, I believe it's $35, or you can do 5 for $45. Well, if you're in the car market, of course, you want to do a history report. We use AutoCheck, which is basically the same type of deal as Carfax, and I can do as many as I want. So I don't have to pay for it. I pay one fee. I can do $5,000 if I want. So if you've need a history report, you either call Frontier Motors at 436-8080 or just email us. And what we'll do, get to the website, email us, and we'll do the history report and fax it to you. We email it over to you, or just stop in at 230 Beverly Parkway at Frontier Motors, and we'll give you a copy of it. So if you're out looking at a private individual's car, don't pay the $45 for Carfax. Just call us up. We'll give it to you for nothing. And again, the reason we do this is to get you familiar with Frontier Motors, where we're located, and what type of cars we have. And you know what happens sometimes? Let's say that you're looking at buying a 2010 Ford Focus from a private individual. They're asking $15,000 for it, and you want us to run the history report. Well, of course, we're going to run the history report. We'll email it to you, or we'll give you a copy of it. And then what we'll do is we'll look at our inventory, and we'll say, hey, guess what? I've got a 2010 Ford Focus on the lot. It's only got 15,000 miles on it, and I can sell it to you for $14,000. Now, that all of a sudden, well, let me think about this. And this is what happens when you have this many cars. Now, I'm using it as an example, folks. I didn't even look to see if I had that Ford Focus. So don't come in here asking for that Ford Focus for $14,000. But what I'm getting at is that what we do is we have the alternatives to new. And what happens a lot of times when you come in for that free appraisal, the one thing we're going to ask, well, what are you looking at buying? Well, I'm looking at buying a brand new Acura. Oh, you are? What are you looking at? I'm looking at a 2012 Acura TL. Well, what about a 2011 with 3,000 miles on it? We had one of these in stock 2 weeks ago, and that's what happened. A customer came in for a value of a car, He was going to buy a brand new Acura. We were able to snag his business because we had one that was only 6 months old, clean history report, had 3,000 miles on, and we saved him about $5,000 because of the depreciation of what happens when you drive off the lot. A lot of people always ask me, well, where do these cars come from? Well, some of them are lease returns. Some of them are repossessions, and not the repossessions of years ago where somebody with a hood, with a mask on would go to the guy's house and repo the car at midnight. That doesn't happen anymore. A lot of these are voluntary repossessions where maybe an owner of a business is going broke, or they can't afford the car anymore, so they call up their banker friend and say, hey, I can't pay the money anymore. Here's the car back, here's the keys. And, of course, you don't want to do that because it goes on your credit, but that's what happens that's where sometimes I can take advantage of somebody else's depreciation. Those cars go right to the auction, so I'm able to bid on them. Used to be years ago that if you were bidding on a 2011 Acura with 3,000 miles, you had to be an Acura dealership. Well, they got smart. The auctions opened this up to private dealerships like Frontier Motors, and I'm able to bid right up there with the big guys, which means that I have the availability of getting cars with even no miles on it. I've got some cars in stock. I bought a bunch of Kias 2 months ago. I think I bought 10 of them that had absolutely no miles. They had 10 miles on them or 9 miles on them. And I think it was a dealership that either had too much inventory or they're going bust. So the vehicles got repoed and go right to the auction. Next thing, I'm buying brand new cars. Of course, I have to sell them as used because I don't have a franchise. So we have to check the box, used car, and the warranty clock is ticking. So if the car is 1 month old, you're going to lose 1 month of the warranty. Well, Kia's got a 4-year 50,000-mile warranty, so it's got the best warranty in the business. So you still have plenty of warranty left, and these are the things that we're looking for when I buy a car. A lot of these cars are not available in Pensacola, unfortunately, so I have to travel. I've got buyers that go to Atlanta, they go to Orlando, they go to Tampa, they go to New Orleans, all the way to Dallas and Nashville. And in Miami area. And what I do is I'm able to buy these vehicles and bring them home and still beat the competition. And one reason is because we have a small dealership outside of Car City. We didn't pay multi-millions of dollars for our dealership. We don't have a showroom. All we have is a small building, about a 2,500 square foot building. We purchased our building about 16 years ago for $100,000. We've done some renovation. We've improved the lot. We bought little tiny lots, $20,000, $30,000, and now we've got...
And you got a new addition to the building. You don't have the double-decker desks anymore. That's nice.
That's right. Yeah, we actually have some time to breathe, and we actually upgraded. We got into the 21st century, and we actually have a handicapped bathroom, which is the big deal at Frontier Motors. And you'll notice we don't have a salon. We don't do your nails. We don't have a cafeteria. But what we do have is we have great deals on cars, and we try to keep that inventory down. And that's why we close at 6 o'clock, and we don't have 2 shifts, so we don't have double salespeople. Our salespeople are able to go home at 6 o'clock and spend time with their family. So it makes it a lot easier for us. And the only disadvantage to you is that if you want to buy a car from Frontier Motors, you got to come before 6 o'clock, or you got to come on Saturday. We're open till 4 o'clock on Saturday. Most of our customers that come in enjoy doing business with us because it's so easy. And if you want to shop around, we'll tell you, give the price in writing, and say, hey, before you make a decision that you're not happy with, why don't you check somewhere else? We can already do this because we have a program that's called Price Driver. It tells me that if you're looking at my 011 Acura, all the other 011 Acuras within 500 miles that are for sale on all the different websites. So I don't have to go from website to the other. It gives them all to me, and that way I'm able to see exactly what is in stock and what my competition has. And the reason this is really important, folks, I don't want to give you a price on a car and have you go somewhere else and embarrass me by buying it somewhere else and calling me up later and say, hey, I thought this car somewhere for $500 less. So what I do is I do that research before I give you my bottom line price, so I know that I have the best deal. And sometimes something as simple as color will also make a difference. And I've had a customer the other day laugh at me when I told him that his blue car was not worth as much as a white car. And he said, you're crazy. I said, no, I'm not. I said, I can show you when they go through the auctions that a pearl white car is going to bring more money than a dark blue one. Not to say that dark blue cars don't sell, it's just they're not as popular, so it takes longer to sell. So if a dealership has a choice, and I did this the other day with a Lexus RX 350, a pearl white Lexus is going to cost you more than a burgundy one or a black one or a dark gray one or a dark blue one or a green one. Now, when you buy them brand new, they're just about all the same price. But when you buy them used, there's a difference because of which car is more popular. A lighter color interior will normally bring a little bit more money than a darker color interior because a lot of people don't want a dark colored interior. And I do notice a lot of them do come with a black interior. I bought a Cadillac XLR, which is that little sporty car. It looks like a Corvette, but it's a Cadillac version. I bought a silver one the other day with a black interior. Now, I didn't have a choice because that's the only one that was there, and I had a customer interested in that car. I also bought a Lexus the other day. It was a burgundy Lexus GX460, which is their new model. It has 400 miles on it, and it's burgundy with a black leather interior. I didn't have a choice. I would have rather had the light interior. I got the black leather. Number one, it looks real classy. And number two, I got a bargain on the vehicle. I bought it about $1,500 less than if it had a light color interior. So I'm able to sometimes convince a customer to take the wrong color for the right price. And that's one of the examples I'm talking about. If you're going to buy a brand new GX460, go to a new car dealership and then stop at us, and we're going to show you what we can save you on ours that has 400 miles on it. And you'll be surprised on what the bottom line difference is going to be, especially important if you have a trade-in. For example, if you have a diesel pickup truck and you're going to go to Lexus and Mobile, the chance of them getting really excited about diesel pickup truck is probably pretty slim. There's not too many dealers not too many Lexus dealerships that are getting a lot of used car customers coming on the lot looking for a heavy-duty diesel truck. Well, Frontier Motors, guess what? We sell all makes and models because we're an independent dealership. So when you stop at our lot and you want a diesel truck, we've got them all lined up. If you want a sports car, we have them lined up. You want a Prius, a gas miser car type cars, we've got them all lined up. You want a minivan, we got 30 of them in stock. And with having 200 or 325 cars in stock, we've got something for everybody. And the other thing that we do is if we don't have exactly what you're looking for, we've got a great locate program where I can get right into the Manheim auctions. I can say, well, this is what these vehicles are bringing right now, so I can quote you a price, and I can go buy you that car. I have about 50 customers right now that have given me their verbal okay and a handshake to buy them a car. Now, I don't get any money. I don't get a signature, just their word that as long as I find the car and it's the price that we've discussed and it passes their inspection, not my inspection, their inspection, that we have a deal. So if you're one of those folks out there that's having trouble finding exactly the car, or you just don't have the energy to do it, you don't want to go to 15 dealerships and go through that whole rigmarole of giving you your name and number, and it just gets to be a pain in the butt. And I'm going to go off on a tangent, but the customer that flew up to Pennsylvania who was looking at a Corvette, he contacted Chevrolet directly on their website, and he put his name and address and phone number in, saying that he was interested in a Chevy Corvette. He almost had to change his phone number. It was ridiculous, the amount of phone calls that he got. So I kind of know what a customer is going through when you ask them for their phone number and they're hesitant giving it to you because they don't want to be bothered. One of the things that we do at Frontier Motors is if you're looking for a particular car, we're going to take your name and phone number down, but we're not going to call you every other day and ask you, hey, are you still looking for a car? We're going to call you once a week to still, if you're still in the market, and what we're going to do is we're going to find that car for you. So obviously we're going to need your number to call you. Hey, I found the car. With having almost 25,000 cars available to me any given week, and I'm talking about the auctions, when I get into the auctions, Orlando, for example, will have, on Tuesdays, they will have about 4,500 to 5,500 cars. That's just one auction. There's 13 auctions just in Florida alone. So when I look at all those auctions, that might be $15,000, 15,000 cars. And then when I consider Georgia and when I consider Louisiana and take those auctions into consideration also, that I have the availability going, because that's in our area. Now I can go anywhere in the nation, but then the shipping sometimes, if I buy a car in California, it might cost $1,500 just to get it here. So I stand in our area, but we have about 25,000 cars available on every given week. And because of that availability, I can narrow that down. They're all put in alphabetical order by the auction. So if you look, and I got a gentleman right now looking for a Nissan Frontier extended cab, so it makes it really easy to go to the Frontiers and look for one. He wants a 2011 model, look for an extended cab, and look for a low mileage one. And then I look at the vehicle, then I find out which auctions is, and I actually am able to look at the pictures of the vehicle. I send my guy to the auction. I don't buy the vehicle without seeing it, and you shouldn't either. I never buy on eBay. And one reason is because you got to pay before you get the merchandise. I don't do that. What I want to do is I want to view the merchandise first before I pay for it. And that's why our Locate program is such a good program for you, because we pay for it and then you pay us. Or if you buy one on eBay, you got to send them a check and then they'll send you the vehicle. Kind of scary. I've done it a couple times. I've been burned a couple times. It's not for me. So I have a tendency to shy away from that. The other thing you can't tell, if you buy one online, you can't tell what the car smells like. It might seem funny, but I got a lot of customers that are very sensitive when it comes to their nose. And when you open up the car door and it smells like smoke or smells like some kind of unknown odor, they close the door and they walk away. Now, some of it might have to do with equipment and mileage. You might have a 50,000-mile one versus a 3,000-mile one. I understand that. But a lot of them, you'll even have a $5,000 spread on just about exactly the same car. And one reason is because when you're at the auction, I can see sometimes a $2,000 to $3,000 swing wholesale just based on the condition of the car. Same color, same mileage, same equipment. But you open the door on one, it smells a little bit. It's got little chips up and down the side of it. Maybe it's got a little minor hail damage. Maybe the tires are already rounded on the inside from the guy abusing the car. These are all things that I look at when I buy a car, and I would rather pay a little bit more to get the nicer car than look at the cheap one that you see on the internet and say, well, I'm going to go over there to North Carolina. They go on there for this price. And you travel all the way over there to find out that the pictures that they sent you have been doctored up a little bit, and the car does not look like they've discussed. And I have bought cars through the Manheim auctions on online vehicle exchange, and the reason that with buying them without seeing them, because the auction will guarantee the car. So if it's not the way it's described, they'll give me my money back. So that's the only way I'll buy a car sight unseen, is by having some type of recourse to be able to get out of it if the car's not the way they discussed. It makes a big difference. Financing at Frontier Motors is readily available. A lot of people ask us what the rates are. What the rates depend on the year of the car, the mileage of the car, your down payment, and your credit, and how long you want to go. I have seen rates as low as 2.9. That's one of the things that you see on the billboard. When you see the billboard ads and a little asterisk on the bottom, it says as low as, because they don't know your credit background, even though you might have good credit. Let's say you're borrowing over the value of the car. Let's say you're trading in a car that you owe too much on and you're over borrowing. Well, they might do the whole thing. They may approve the whole loan for you, but they charge you just a little bit more on the rate. So rates are really low. The lowest that I've ever seen. I've been in the car business since I was 15 years old. I have never seen rates as low as this before. And without any gimmicks. You know, sometimes you have the 0% financing, but you got to give up a $3,000 rebate. So indirectly, it's costing you $3,000 to get the 0% financing. There's no gimmicks. You know, if you walk in and on a used car and you can qualify on a used car you're going to get the very, very low rates. The other thing is, we just, and I didn't know we could do this, but we financed a 1996 pickup truck the other day. I thought you could only go 10 years old, and we had Wells Fargo finance a 96. So the banks are coming around where they're opening up the floodgates, and they're starting to borrow money on cars that about a couple years ago they wouldn't do anymore. And that's one of the things that if you've got any issues, folks, give us a chance. Go to Frontier Motors website. There's a secure credit application available. We can get you what we call pre-approved, so you'll know what you qualify for instead of coming in and looking at 300 vehicles. If I only got 6 or 7 that fit for what you're looking for because of the equity, we can help you with that within a matter of minutes. Frontier Motors is located at 230 Beverly Parkway, right in the middle of Escambia County, in the middle of Pensacola, I should say. And we're off the beaten path a little bit, so go on our website, and it'll give you directions how to get there. Beverly Parkway is the same road as Brent Lane, so if you know where Brent Lane is, just go west. Sooner or later, you're going to hit a 14-foot buffalo on the right-hand side of the road. You'll know that's Frontier Motors. We've got only about 60 or 70 cars in the front, but we have another 230 out back. Our cars are unlocked every day. You'll love to come in and just kick tires and make it really easy for you to get a price on a car, especially if you're going to buy a new one. If you know anybody's going to buy a new one, give us a chance to talk you out of that new one by showing you a 2012 with maybe 500 miles on it. And that's, I think, really our claim to fame is the alternative to new. And because we have so many nice newer type cars, we also take some really nice trade-ins that might only cost $4,000 or $5,000. A lot of people say, well, you don't have those cars at that price. Well, sure we do, because we take the trade-ins in on those newer cars. So we try to keep something in stock for everybody. Makes it real simple. 436-8080. That's Frontier Motors. And remember, folks, everybody out there, including you, is driving a used car. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Auf Wiedersehen.
Looking for the best car, SUV, or truck? Guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay. Come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier. We've got the right price. Frontier. We'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors. Low overhead country.